Welcome to the Undergraduate Student Organization Online Training. Here at the UCAE, we are excited that you will be serving as a student organization president, treasurer, or authorized spender this year. This training is designed to provide you with important information and valuable resources that will help you succeed in your leadership position. Leadership is a contribution. What will yours be? The training is divided into 4 areas of student group success: activating your purpose, maximizing your resources, contributing to your community, and excelling as a leader. To fully complete the training, you will need to watch the whole video and pass the quiz with an 80% or higher. You will only be able to take the quiz after watching the video. If you have any questions, stop by the source, the Student Organization Resource Center, in the UCAE Administrative Suite on the 2nd floor of the Bryan Center. Let's get started. The University Center for Activities and Events, the UCAE for short, is a department comprised of multiple teams, all dedicated to supporting you and your organizations. Throughout the year, you'll work with UCAE in your student leadership role. Our offices are located throughout the Bryan Center, and you can learn more at the UCAE website. Duke has over 400 registered undergraduate student organizations that create an active and diverse student involvement scene. As the leader of a student organization, you have a unique opportunity to positively shape the Duke community. This section will explain the role of student organizations and responsibilities you have as a student leader. We have 5 different types of undergraduate student organizations at Duke: SOFC chartered, SOFC recognized, departmental, Greek, and residential. As you can see in this flowchart, each type comes with different requirements. This flowchart is also available on the UCAE website. Being an official student organization at Duke comes with many privileges and responsibilities. To successfully operate as a student organization, all presidents and treasurers must complete this training, register your organization in Duke groups, maintain a complete roster with member, officer, and advisor information in Duke groups, and register all required events in Duke groups at least 2 weeks prior to the event date. You must also maintain a positive balance in your organization's fund code, seek advice from the UCAE student involvement about potential high-risk activities, and actively communicate with your advisor. Duke also expects that all student organizations, leaders, and members comply with all Duke University policies, local, state, and federal laws. Part of being a great leader is maximizing the resources available to your organization and realizing you do not have all of the answers. In this section, we'll discuss the most important tools you'll need to be successful this year, including Duke groups and funding processes. Duke Groups is our official online directory for all student organizations and various departments on campus. This system, open to anyone with a Duke Net ID and password, will provide you with the tools for managing your organization and encourage growth and development as you engage in co-curricular activities. We'll now go through the most frequent ways you'll use Duke Groups. We have also created a Duke Group Student Leader User Guide on the UCAE website to answer all of your Duke Groups related questions. To find Duke Groups, go to dukegroups.com. At the top right of the screen, click Login. You will then be prompted to log in with your Net ID and password. To be active for this academic year, your organization needs to re-register in Duke Groups. Prior to beginning the registration process, it will be helpful to gather your constitution, member contact information, current president and treasurer, and signed advisor agreement form, which is located in the Forms section of the UCAE website. You will know that your group still needs to re-register if you go to your organization's Duke Groups page and see "This organization is currently eligible for registration" under your group's cover photo on your group's page. Make sure you are logged in. If you are a new student organization, you will register your group by clicking on the Organizations tab, then clicking Register a New Organization in the left menu bar. The Duke Group's student event registration process is designed to help you successfully plan events on campus. To make the planning process easier for students, When you submit your event in Duke groups, university staff throughout campus are notified. Staff will collaborate with you to arrange all of the elements of your event. It is important to note that your submission will not be approved until all appropriate university staff have positively confirmed all event logistics. The length of the approval process varies based on the complexity of your event. Our goal is to provide you with all of the support you need. We encourage you to use this process to help plan any of your events. You are required to register all events that have one or more of the following criteria. The required criteria are an estimated attendance of more than 100 people, the presence of alcohol, outdoor amplified sound, a guest speaker. Your event is a political campaign event featuring political candidates for office and/or voter registration drives. Your event involves contracts or paid performers, speakers, or vendors. You have off-campus attendees, including minors. Your event charges admission, and if your event is an outdoor recreation event, for example, 5Ks and races. Only the president, treasurer, authorized spender, and event planners on the Duke Group's roster have access to register events. You will be asked to upload a space confirmation and submit all logistical details for your event. All events must be registered at least 2 weeks prior to the event date, but you should submit your event as soon as the date and location are set. If you submit your event more than 14 days before the event date, you can make purchases before the event is approved. However, if you submit the event less than 14 days before the event date, you will not be able to make purchases until the event is approved. So, submit your events early. To find this tool, go to your organization's page. Find Events on the top menu bar and then click on Create Event in the top left corner. Student groups are not allowed to host events after the last day of classes each semester. However, groups may host a study break. Study breaks are intended to provide an alternative to events, but not pose a significant distraction at campus. A study break will comply with all of the following. 1. The activity must be open only to group members. 2. The activity must last no longer than 2 hours. And 3. The activity must not include any of the event registration criteria. Please visit the website provided if you are unsure if your event qualifies as a study break and take the study break quiz. The UCAE provides financial transaction support for SOFC recognized and chartered organizations. The next 2 sections will discuss funding sources and banking practices specifically for SOFC organizations. Departmentally recognized groups will need to talk to their recognizing department to learn financial policies and procedures. There are many student organization funding sources at Duke. The 2 most commonly used are SOFC funding and the Cultural Engagement Fund. SOFC stands for the Student Organization Funding Committee. SOFC is a committee of up to 17 students appointed by the Duke student government who distribute approximately $700,000 of the student activities fee annually. SOFC distributes this money to over 300 student organizations through the programming fund and the annual budget. SOFC also reviews applications for new student organizations on behalf of DSG. All SOFC recognized and chartered student organizations can apply to the SOFC programming fund for money towards student organization events. SOFC allocates money through the programming fund weekly throughout the school year. To be eligible for programming fund money, events must be free and open to the entire undergraduate student population. Organizations must submit programming fund applications at least 2 weeks before the event date. Full instructions, applications, and tips to avoid common mistakes are available on the SOFC website. Only SOFC chartered organizations may apply for funding through the SOFC annual budget. The annual budget provides funding for non-event expenses to chartered groups. SOFC reviews annual budget requests once a year in the spring for the upcoming academic year. So, the 2016-2017 annual budget has already been finalized. If you are unsure if your organization received annual budget funding, the entire budget is available on the SOFC website. Full instructions, applications, and tips to avoid common mistakes are also available on the SOFC website. The SOFC and DSG establish policies to create an open and equitable funding process for all Duke student groups. Here are some important ones to remember. There is a list of items that SOFC cannot fund, including t-shirts and alcohol. Check the full list on the SOFC website before applying for funding. The SOFC audits all events and annual budgets, and if the organization has misused funds, the organization will be placed on interim suspension and will not be eligible to receive additional funding from SOFC until the funds have been returned. A full list of all policies and guidelines is available on the SOFC website. The Cultural Engagement Fund provides student organizations with financial resources to develop programs that promote any of the following: arts, co-curricular education, health and safety, multiculturalism and diversity, university community service, and/or cross-cultural collaboration. The Center for Multicultural Affairs administers the Cultural Engagement Fund each year with 2 calls for funding proposals, once in the fall and once in the spring. For information about eligibility and deadlines for spring 2017 program funding, visit the CMA website. All SOFC recognized and chartered student organizations have a unique student organization bank account with the UCAE, called a fund code. The UCAE Business and Finance Office processes all student organization financial transactions and is available to help student leaders answer questions about how to spend their organization's money. The UCAE Business and Finance Office is located in the former Von Cannon space and is open from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. They will always respond to your Duke Group's requests through the comments section of that request. Make sure that your notifications are on in order to receive these messages. Additional purchasing and deposit information can be found on the UCAE website. Departmentally recognized student organizations should work with their departments and advisors to spend money. Here's an example of a student organization financial statement. Presidents, treasurers, and authorized spenders can visit the UCAE Business and Finance Office to receive a copy of their current financial statement at any time. Financial statements show the current balance of the fund code and a list of all transactions from the year. On these financial statements, positive balances and credits appear as negative numbers, and overdrafts and debits, money coming out of the account, appear as positive numbers. It's the opposite of your personal checking account. Please remember that some items can take up to 10 weeks to post to your account, so it is important that your treasurer is keeping accurate records. All SOFC recognized student organizations must work with the UCAE Business and Finance Office for every transaction of your student organization account. Other departments or university staff should not make purchases on your behalf. The student organization president, treasurer, or SOFC authorized spender must sign and approve all forms. Your organization can deposit funds into your fund code. Cash and checks are accepted. All checks should be made out to Duke University. To make the deposit, please stop by the UCAE Business and Finance Office. Once checks are received by Business and Finance, they cannot be taken outside of the office. Student organizations may accept donations. Donations to your student organization are not tax deductible, and you are responsible for letting the donor know this prior to accepting a donation. Donations exceeding $999 must be pre-approved by the UCAE Director of Student Involvement and may need to be pre-approved by the Office of Development before they can be accepted. Students may also host fundraisers. However, some fundraisers are subject to North Carolina sales tax, which will reduce the organization's total deposit. Examples of fundraisers that are taxable include, but are not limited to, the selling of t-shirts, baked goods, ice cream, and event admission. Please note that raffles are not allowed unless no real money is exchanged. UCAE offers 6 different ways for student organizations to spend their money, and each comes with its own form. All forms and additional details on how to spend student organizational funds can be found under the Finance tab of the UCAE website. One of the most common methods of purchasing is using a P-card, which is a UCAE credit card. P-cards are used for online and over-the-phone purchases, such as ordering food from a restaurant and Amazon orders. To use a P-card, the president, treasurer, or SOFC authorized spender will need to fill out the online P-card request form through Duke Groups. After the form is completed and approved, the submitter can visit the UCAE Business and Finance Office to make the purchase. The original receipt for the purchase must be turned in within 2 business days. Please note, P-cards cannot leave the UCAE Business and Finance Office, and additional charges cannot be authorized without express permission from the UCAE Business and Finance Office. Due to P-card compliance issues, certain vendors and types of purchases cannot be made using a P-card. Examples include, but are not limited to, Chipotle, Nosh, and Foster's. Please see the UCAE website for a list of these restricted vendors. Reimbursed when they spend their personal funds on approved student organization expenses. The reimbursement form must be filled out for the student that made the purchase. The UCAE Business and Finance Office must receive the completed paper form with the original receipts attached, showing proof of payment. We highly recommend keeping copies of the reimbursement forms and receipts that are turned in. All reimbursement forms must be submitted to the UCAE Business and Finance Office within 2 weeks of your event or receipt date, if the expense is not associated with an event. Students do not have to wait on the president, treasurer, or authorized spender to sign the form before turning the form in for processing. There are certain types of purchases that cannot be reimbursed. There are a few listed here. Please see the UCAE website for a complete list of restricted purchases. It takes a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks to receive a reimbursement payment. Please note that Duke faculty and staff cannot be reimbursed directly through the Student Organization Fund Code. Faculty and staff must run all expenses through their departmental fund code. If the student organization wishes to cover an expense that the department paid for, the president or treasurer must initiate a transfer request. Visit the UCAE website for complete details on how to transfer funds to a department. If you do not want to use personal funds, but the vendor is unable to accept a credit card or a check, or they are on the restricted vendors list, you can receive a cash advance. The president, treasurer, or authorized spender must submit the online cash advance request through Duke Groups. Current students can request up to $200 per day. Once the advance is approved, the student that the advance was for can go to the cashier's office located at Smith Warehouse to pick up the cash advance. The cashier's office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please note, a hold will be placed on the student's bursar account until the receipts are submitted to the UCAE Business and Finance Office, attached to a cash advance receipt form. The cash should remain with the student that collected the cash from the cashier's office. The cash should be used to make purchases. A check request is used to pay services including speakers, DJs, high-dollar catering, rentals, dues to nationals, donations, and reimbursements to non-Duke personnel. First, the president, treasurer, or authorized spender will need to submit the online check request form through Duke Groups. A paper version of the invoice or contract must be turned in with an up-to-date W-9. If the payment is going to an individual, you also need to submit the independent contractor checklist. Depending on the payment type, additional paperwork may be required. All forms must be turned in at least 3 weeks prior to the event date. Please note that check request processing times can increase during the busy times of the year. All contracts must go through the contract review process. Students can never sign contracts. All contracts must be signed by student involvement. When you want to transfer funds to another student organization or department, you will need to complete the transfer request form online through Duke Groups. This form is often used when 2 student organizations are co-sponsoring an event. Your student organization can only transfer to a department when you want to reimburse for expenses, and copies of the receipts are required. If a department at Duke wishes to transfer funds to a student organization, for example, an event sponsorship, the department representative must email the UCAE Business and Finance Office with the transfer details. All transfers must be initiated by the UCAE Business and Finance Office. Do not give your fund code out to other departments. An interdepartmental request form, or IR form for short, is used to pay internal Duke offices and vendors like The Loop, The Chronicle, and The Lobby Shop. This form is not available online. First, the president, treasurer, or authorized spender must submit the online P-card request form. Once the purchase is approved by the UCAE Business and Finance Office, the president, treasurer, or SOFC authorized spender will need to come to the UCAE Business and Finance Office to pick up an IR. This form will be given to the on-campus vendor to complete the student organization order. Do not give your fund code to an on-campus vendor without first getting an IR form or written permission from the UCAE Business and Finance Office. Once the order is complete, The president, treasurer, or authorized spender must bring the final receipt to the UCAE Business and Finance Office within 2 business days. Under no circumstances can students do the following: use Square or other devices to process credit card transactions. Use Kickstarter, Eventbrite, PayPal, or other unapproved online financial services. Pay a performer or individual with cash. Sign a contract. Pay a contract with personal funds. Be reimbursed for ATM withdrawals. Complete a financial transaction using Venmo. This is not an exhaustive list. You should seek UCAE Business and Finance assistance with all student organization financial processes. We can help you figure out the best way to pay. All financial requests, excluding reimbursements, can be submitted online through Duke Groups. To submit a new request, you will need to log into Duke Groups, click Campus Links in the top right corner, and then click 1617 Payment Request. After your first request, you will need to click New One on the next page. Please do not select Resume. Follow the instructions within this form in order to submit your request to the UCAE Business and Finance Office for review. More detailed information and step-by-step instructions for all processes are posted on UCAE's website. The president, treasurer, and authorized spenders are responsible for communicating the information in this training as well as on the website to the other members of the group. The student organization should keep a running balance of all financial transactions throughout the year. Even though the president, treasurer, or authorized spender can request a copy of the student organization transactions, it can take several weeks for transactions to post to the student organization fund code. Lastly, the president and treasurer must complete training, pass the quiz, and the organization's Duke Group's roster must be up to date before any financial transactions can be made. Along with many privileges, being a student organization leader at Duke carries important responsibilities. One of them is to ensure that you, your organization, and its members abide by all Duke University policies and timelines, as these exist to guide your student organization in a direction that positively contributes to the Duke student experience. As a positional leader of your group, you have the potential and responsibility to help advance the Duke community. You are also poised to help shape the leadership lessons that members of your group receive. What does it mean for you and them to be a good Duke citizen as part of a student organization? There is a brief overview of the most frequently asked about student organization policies. These are only summaries. More detailed descriptions are available on the UCAE website. This list is also not comprehensive, and policies can change throughout the year as student organizations need change. Student organizations are expected to follow all university, UCAE, and DCS policies and should regularly check the student organization policy section of the UCAE website for updates. UCAE reserves many event and meeting room spaces, including the West Union, Penn Pavilion, Bryan Center meeting rooms, and campus theaters. For a full list of UCAE reserved spaces, visit the UCAE website. The UCAE staff is here to support student organization event planning, and we encourage you to meet with the UCAE staff as early as possible to find space for your upcoming events. Remember to always communicate regularly with your student organization members, advisor, and campus partners. Students are never allowed to sign contracts on behalf of their student organizations. All contracts must be signed by a UCAE staff member. This is to protect you as students so that you are not personally liable for the contract. UCAE staff are also available to assist you with the contract negotiation process. If you have questions about how to book a speaker or performer or would like assistance looking up a particular performer's fee, please stop by UCAE Student Involvement and speak with a staff member. If your organization needs a contract signed, it must be submitted to the UCAE at least 3 weeks before your event. Processing time depends on the complexity of the contract and the event because it may need to be reviewed by multiple offices. Some contracts can take up to 8 weeks to process, so submit it for a review as early as possible. To submit a contract to UCAE, do the following: register your event on Duke Groups, complete the contract's cover sheet located on the UCAE website. If there are changes that you do not want made to the contract, please submit the changes on a separate document and do not write directly on the contract. And submit the contract with attached cover sheet in the Dropbox located in the source in the UCAE Administrative Suite on the second floor of the Bryan Center. Please note, Your event will not be approved in Duke Groups until all contracts have been submitted, and you will not be able to make purchases with the UCAE Business and Finance Office until your event is approved, so submit your contracts early. Again, never sign a contract. If you want to hire a student to be a DJ, photographer, or artist for your event, you must complete the Student Entertainer and Creative Artist Agreement on the UCAE website. After the student entertainer has signed the agreement, submit the form to the UCAE Business and Finance Office. After the event, the fee will be automatically deducted from your student organization fund code. All purchased t-shirts and customized items must be made through a Duke-approved vendor. Any purchase made from an unapproved vendor will be denied payment of any form, including reimbursement. A full list of Duke licensees is available on the Duke Trademark and Licensing website. If your student organization wants to create an external website, you must go through Office of Trademark and Licensing. Alternatively, groups may work with Duke OIT to set up a free sites.duke.edu website. Duke protects the use of its logos. If you would like to include any references to Duke, it must be pre-approved by the Office of Trademark and Licensing. Plan ahead and seek approval early. Duke has a very strict corporate solicitation and sponsorship policy. We recognize there may be times when student organizations want to partner with an off-campus entity, so student groups can request an exception through UCAE if the partnership meets these criteria. The off-campus entity's purpose must directly align with the student organization's mission. A good example is the Duke Red Cross bringing the American Red Cross to campus. A member of the student organization must always be present and remain at the activity the entire time. The sponsored activity must abide by all local, state, and federal laws and Duke policies. This policy applies to voter registration drives. The request form can be found on the UCAE website and must be submitted at least 2 weeks before the activity. Student organization events can be either BYOB or distribution by a Duke dining bartender, but never both. Only students who are 21 or older may have alcohol. Events must have one party monitor for every 25 expected attendees. Party monitor training is run by the Duke Wellness Center, and you can sign up for a training at their website. All events with alcohol must be registered on Duke Groups. If a student travels abroad using Duke funds, sponsored by a Duke organization or department, or is to earn credit for a Duke degree, the student must register travel plans in the Duke registry at travel.duke.edu. The student must also carry all documentation listed in the International Travel Policy. The full policy can be found online. Registering your international travel through the Duke Travel Registry also provides you with a number of benefits, including access to emergency assistance while you are abroad. Duke University has a strict policy against hazing. Duke defines hazing as any action taken or situation created, whether on or off university premises, that is harmful or potentially harmful to an individual's physical, emotional, or psychological well-being, regardless of an individual's willingness to participate or its bearing on his or her membership status. Hazing is never allowed at Duke in any organizations or activities. The hazing hotline is 919-684-5766. This phone line goes to voicemail, allowing you to leave a confidential message with information related to the hazing incident. As an official student organization, you can table on the Plaza or Bryan Center and at the Marketplace on East Campus. For Plaza and Bryan Center tabling, you will need to visit the Source in the UCAE Administrative Suite, located on the second floor of the Bryan Center. Tables can be signed out from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on a first-come, first-served basis. Don't forget that the solicitation policy applies to tabling as well. For Marketplace tabling, contact Duke Dining. Because of North Carolina state law, Duke does not allow gambling of any kind. Raffles are not allowed unless no real money is exchanged. Casino nights must be free and require no financial buy-in of any kind. Posters and flyers can only be placed on approved posting surfaces, such as bulletin boards. Flyers are not allowed on bathroom stalls, sidewalks, doors, windows, benches, trees, etc. Chalking is also not allowed on any surface at Duke. As a leader, you are expected to know and follow all policies in the Duke Community Standard, Student Organization Handbook, and university websites. If you have any questions about policy, contact UCAE for assistance. Leadership is a contribution. Your student organization is accountable for positively contributing to the Duke community. Student organizations who do not maintain a basic compliance with university requirements or fail to abide by Duke policies are subject to consequences including, but not limited to, loss of privileges. Our goal is to help student organizations be successful. Please make it a priority to register your organization via Duke groups, complete all training requirements, and abide by all university policies. Remember, if you need assistance, please seek UCAE support. Do you want to take your organization to the next level this year? What do you want your student leader legacy to be? This next section will highlight resources and programs that are designed to help you and your organization have an outstanding year. These tools will help you unlock the amazing potential of your student organization and develop you as a stronger leader. The Center for Leadership Development and Social Action, also called LDSA, provides resources and experiences to help you practice leadership and inspire positive change. Come visit us, FF107 FU Quad. You can help by recognizing members of your group for their leadership. Let us know if you catch someone leading. We'll send them some swag. The student organization lineup is the recognition process used by the student involvement team to recognize great work that student organizations are doing to improve the Duke community. Groups that have completed student organization requirements, attended student involvement programming initiatives, and hosted innovative programs will be recognized for their efforts. Each level of recognition will include rewards. Recognition will happen monthly for the duration of the academic year. If you have any questions, contact UCAE Student Involvement. Duke Launch is a peer-run advising program where individual students can make appointments with launch agents to better their involvement on campus. Student organizations can also meet with launch agents to improve in specific areas such as marketing and recruitment, leadership development, transitioning and retreat planning, and much more. Signing up for an appointment is easy. Just go to dukelaunch.org today. Also, SOFC requires all new student organizations to meet with Launch as a part of the recognition process. DIDA is the Duke Innovative Design Agency, a team of students that provide marketing and communications assistance for student organizations and the Duke community. DIDA has a variety of student specialists available including graphic designers, marketing strategists, filmmakers, and more. To apply for service, visit DIDA's website. Located in the UCAE Administrative Suite on the second floor of the Bryan Center, The Source is your one-stop shop for student organization success. If you have any questions, stop by the Source desk and talk to one of UCAE's student organization experts. If you would like to help booking a space for your event, the Source experts are there to help. The Source is also fully stocked with free supplies available to student organizations, like button makers, poster supplies, a Cricut cutting machine, and so much more. Each week, UCAE sends out an e-newsletter to student organization leaders and advisors. This newsletter contains important announcements for student groups throughout the year. The newsletter is managed through Duke groups, and in order to get the newsletter, keep your roster updated and current. Student organizations can also submit announcements for this blast weekly using the link found on the UCAE website. A couple of reminders. Some processes can take up to 3 to 8 weeks, so it is advised to always plan ahead. We encourage all Duke community members to begin working collaboratively as soon as possible. Read the Duke Community Standard, Student Organization Handbook, and visit the UCAE website to make sure you know all relevant policies for your student group. And finally, take advantage of the various student leadership opportunities available to you, including Launch, The Source, the Student Organization Lineup, and the Start Strong workshop to take your group to the next level this year. Remember, this training is not exhaustive, and it is meant to provide you with the basics you need to simply get started. You are expected to seek UCAE assistance, communicate regularly with your advisor, and strive to operate with integrity. UCAE student involvement is always here to help you and your organization. We are excited that you will be taking on this leadership role and can't wait to see everything that you will accomplish this year. Now that you've completed this training video, you'll need to complete the quiz located in the Tests and Quizzes section of Student Org Training Sakai site. You will not have completed the training until you have passed the quiz. If you have any questions, contact UCAE Student Involvement.